Welcome to the American Horse Council's third quarter webinar. I am Julie Broadway, president of the council, and we are delighted to have this conversation this afternoon on urban riding programs. Now, the American Horse Council has a youth engagement task force and also a diversity, equity, and inclusion task force. And we've spent a lot of time talking about growing equestrian sports and the idea that we needed to be more inclusive and more engaged in urban areas. We know that young people aren't exposed to agriculture the way they used to be. And so oftentimes these are the types of programs that gives them that first experience with a horse and gets them excited and pulls them into our little community of equestrians. And we're excited about this conversation. So first, a couple of housekeeping things. If you would be so kind, if you're not speaking, put yourself on mute so that we don't have too much background noise. As I said, we are recording this and we will send you the recording when it's processed. It'll be up on our website and we'll circulate it around for replay. You speakers are welcome to use that video however you'd like in promotion of your own programs. So just FYI about that. So with that, I'm just delighted to have this great panel this afternoon. Eastern time, I'm in the afternoon. So I have someone I've admired for many years. She spoke at the American Horse Council conference a few years back, and that's Selina Brown. She's based in Washington, D.C., and she is with the Stand Foundation. We have William Lewis, who I just met recently. William is in Baltimore, Maryland, and he heads the Urban Horse Center there. I have not had the pleasure to meet Lezlie Hiner in the past. Lezlie, am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yes, it is.
Perfect. Oh, good. Because I'm terrible sometimes with names. She is from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and she is with Work to Ride, and I've heard a lot about that program. Dan Silver is with the Detroit, Michigan, Detroit Horsepower Program. And hopefully we will see Ron Mack at some point. Ron Mack is with the Lexington, Kentucky Legacy Equine Academy. So some great panelists. Now, in addition to the panelists, I'm going to give them all some time to share some prepared remarks, and we've got some Q&A to kind of get it going. We also are delighted to have Mikhail Proctor. Mikhail is with the United States Equestrian Federation, and he heads up their community outreach program. So he's going to talk a little bit about what that's all about. And if you have not had the opportunity, Amber Tariq, Amber, did I get it right? Close enough. Okay. She is with the Outdoor Recreation Roundtable, which is a coalition of all types of outdoor recreation sports based in Washington, D.C. And she chairs their Together Outdoors program. And so she's got some great stuff to talk about. And most recently, they launched a campaign called Share the Air. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I'm really excited about that program too. So that's sort of a little bit of how this is going to flow. And I'm going to call on our panelists. And the first thing that we're going to ask them to do is introduce themselves and give us a few brief remarks about their program, when it was founded, who they serve, and how it's funded, because those are the most common questions that I get. And I'm going to go alphabetically if my brain will cooperate here. So that means that Selina is going to go first. So Selina, tell our audience all about the Stand Foundation.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. Can you hear me okay? Because I am outdoors. All right, great. So I am a Washington, D.C. native, and I am a former co-founding member of an all-female relay rodeo team that's known today as the Cowgirls of Color. My nonprofit organization is the Stand Foundation, and it was founded in 2011, but it was established in 2015. And what it is that we do is focus on inner city girls in the community and expose them to the equestrian industry by way of our after-school programs and our summer camps. And we offer a complete wellness component with mindfulness, nutrition education, horsemanship, and basics of riding.
Awesome. How many students do you have enrolled right now?
So our enrollment is based upon 2-week cohorts, and this is our third year, and every cohort every summer we have 3 cohorts. So we have 10 students each cohort. So that would be 30 a year, 3 times. That would be 90 participants have just come through our 2-week summer camp sessions. And our after-school programs in high school has been the same number. We've been at 10. We've only served in the high school 2 years. And elementary schools, we do the same. 10 is our magic number. So we just cap it at 10 because we look for quality in our programs. We want to make sure we can offer the best that we can give.
I love it. Sounds wonderful. Okay, next, Lezlie, tell us a little bit about Work to Ride, when you were founded, and sort of who you serve.
Can I'm at the barn. I have this huge delivery thing here. Can we skip me and go to somebody else so you don't get all my background noise?
We can absolutely.
Thank you.
Do that. So that is going to take me to William. Talk a little bit about the Urban Horse Center. You got to unmute yourself, William. There he is.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this marvelous event. I represent the Urban Horse Center. Now, the Urban Horse Center is recently formed. We collectively bought the stable that has been in Baltimore as a Arab stable center for the last 150 years. It's the oldest building that has actually been a stable the entire time in the city of Baltimore, and I think maybe surrounding region. So we have, I guess, we have approximately 20 youth, and we participate in urban riding. But our main focus, and particularly for the Urban Horse Center, is to try to reinvigorate the Arab system. It's an industry which kind of generic term kind of rose up with Arab, and it's a tradition where Black men or women serve the inner city community with fresh fruits and vegetables on horse and wagons. And they've done that for, I don't know, maybe, 50 or 60 years. The industry has basically dwindled through a variety of pressures, including the city government, along with the lack of funding and disorganization. What we've tried to do is we're trying to bring back organization, and we're trying to work with the city to help facilitate the institution. But we don't have a direct connection, and so we're basically funding ourselves. And we have a stable with approximately 12, 15 horses, and we have 3 of our own, and then we board the balance of the horses. So with the boarding money, we maintain the horses and feed them, and we're trying to connect the programs with regard to other resources. But the most important part that I'd like to mention for this group is we have and we own a channel for horses in the urban area. We actually do maintain and function in the inner city in all of its complications with the horses and throughout. So we are permitted to ride and to bring our horses into the various neighborhoods without constraint. The problem, what I like about this opportunity, especially for the American Horse Council, is that it is a channel which we can open up and bring more youth into it. Our goal basically is to involve kids in horses, particularly with the school programs, and try to motivate them in their grades by rewarding them with being a part of our program and letting them come and learn how to maintain and particularly pet and ride. And also one of our goals is to do a support program for petting and immersion in the area of psychological support for kids and adults who may be able to, as you know, have that component to help when their challenges.
I love to bring groups like this together because I'm already sitting here firing on who I need to connect you with and all the possibilities that are out there. So, hey, that's great. I'm curious, I should have asked Selina, but I think I know her answer. What style of riding do you predominantly teach? Is it English? Is it Western? Are they jumping? Are they barrel racing? Just out of curiosity.
Western.
Western.
We do Western for the most part.
Selina, I know I've seen some pictures. I think you've got some people barrel racing and some people jumping, don't you?
Yes. Well, I absolutely.
Uh-oh, I think we lost her there.
That's me. Can you hear me?
There you are. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Nope. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what's going on.
There, you sound good right then.
Oh, you can hear me now?
I can hear you now. Don't move.
Okay, I'm not gonna move. I'm not gonna move. So we introduced them to both disciplines. However, they've only been exposed to a rodeo as far as competitions. We have had some young ladies compete in the Maryland High School Rodeo Association. We've had them compete in the local rodeos, and the majority of them just participate in the Bill Pickett Rodeo's Grand Entry Parade. So, you know, we just teach them the basics of it. And then when they want to learn more, we outsource them to someone else that is teaching.
That makes perfect sense. Got it. Okay. Lezlie, are you back or do you still need some more time?
They've moved away. So if it's too much background, I can, move on.
Nope.
Yeah. So hi, my name is Lezlie Hiner. I'm the executive director of Work to Ride. We are celebrating our 30th year at our current facility in Center City. Well, we're 5 minutes from downtown Philadelphia. We're super fortunate in that our facility was one of the former mounted police stables in Philadelphia, of which there are many, and all of them are occupied by nonprofits. So we're very fortunate that we were able to secure this facility from the city on $1 a year lease. I have a 36 stall barn, and our program primarily serves low income youth at risk in Philadelphia. We're bordered by two of the most impoverished neighborhoods in Philadelphia, so those kids can get to us very, very easily. Transportation is not really a big issue. And so that's the core, programming that we serve. But we also, because we do not want to rely on the generosity of others, our programming also includes riding lessons and summer camps, and those basically fund about 50% of our income each year, and then the other is fundraising. So that's one of the key things, I think, with at least in my way of thinking of organizations, that you need to have some other type of income producing services that you can offer, so that you don't, again, have to rely on the generosity of others 24/7. That tends to be probably very hard to deal with on a monthly basis. Going back to what you asked, the other ones, we actually do a lot of different riding with our kids. We primarily, do English, but we do a lot of different disciplines. The kids, sometimes use it. They'll learn a little bit of dressage. We're heavily involved in pony racing in the Maryland, Pennsylvania circuit. We've been doing that for over 20 years. The kids do field master chases. We have several connections with the different hunt clubs in the area, whether it's Cheshire, Amwell Valley. So the kids learn fox hunting, which leads us to another really rich area in our neighborhood. Is we have several Olympians that live in the area, Philip Dutton and Boyd Martin. So our kids are exposed to Olympians. They've met them. They've ridden on their premises. It's a really cool, it's good, nice partnerships that we have with them. And primarily what our program is known for is our polo program, which is, we've won several national tournaments at the high school level. And then our kids, because we do stress education as one of the main components of our program, that a lot of our kids go to college, and those are colleges that play polo. So those kids have also won national titles in their college career.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm very envious of anybody who can stay on a horse and swing a mallet. That takes a lot of coordination.
Yeah. Great. And so we serve between all of our programs, we serve anywhere from 500 to 600 kids a year.
Wow. Oh, that's fabulous. Yeah. Ooh, love it. Okay, David, tell us about Detroit Horsepower.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, it feels very fitting in a way to follow Lezlie. Detroit Horsepower was started in 2015, and had the privilege to visit Work to Ride in December of 2014. Detroit Horsepower was still kind of an idea, but Lezlie was kind enough to show me the ropes and introduce me to the powerful work that had been going on for more than 20 years at that point. So amazing to hear about a 30th anniversary and big expansion in the works for Work to Ride. So,
that's true too, yeah.
And thank you for convening this for the American Horse Council. I'll give a shout out to the Michigan Horse Council, has been one of the earliest and most consistent supporters of Detroit Horsepower. And I see on the line we've got Dr. Chris Skelly from Michigan State University. Yeah, definitely want to give a shout out to the community at MSU Extension and the Horse Council that have made a big difference in Detroit Horsepower's growth over the years. And we'll hear from Mikhail in a little bit, but we're grateful to be a community outreach organization member, and I did get my start with Pony Club, so nice to see Pony Clubs here on the line. So just great feeling of community to be a part of, along with folks around the country that I'd like to get better connected with, and the great work that you all are doing. For Detroit Horsepower's background, since 2015, we've been picking kids up in the city of Detroit and driving really far distances to partner horse barns outside the city that allow us to use their space and their horses for us to offer free summer horse camps and an after-school program. We love teaching how to ride and how to take care of horses, but really for us, it all comes back to how horses build really critical social emotional skills. We focus on 5 that spell out the acronym PERCS with a C. It's perseverance, empathy, responsible risk-taking, confidence, and self-control. So we've got a great track record of about 100 students every summer, and then 40 really talented youth leaders that continue year-round in our after-school program. Can definitely talk more about how that all works, but we are getting ready to break ground in October to start construction on a 14-acre urban equestrian center, turning a large demolished school site in the city of Detroit into this outstanding resource that's going to make horses accessible in our students' communities and really scale up the number of students and how deep an impact horses can make in their lives. So we can't wait for that. You asked about funding sources. I'd say primarily individual donations, foundation grants, some corporate sponsorships, and some governmental support. Those are really the core legs that have gotten us to this point. And that's been a journey, over 10 years. We can talk more if it's of interest of like how that's evolved for Detroit Horsepower, especially with a lot of growth ahead for us. But hopefully that's a good, starting place to jump off from.
Oh, that's awesome. It occurs to me, Lezlie mentioned this, David's mentioned this, diversity of revenue streams is a really big thing, especially when you're running a nonprofit organization of this type. So we'll talk some more about funding options shortly, but I'm impressed with you guys coming up with all these novel ways to supplement what you're trying to get accomplished there, because it takes a village to make all that happen, as they like to say. I'm curious, guys, and Mikhail and Amber, feel free to jump in and ask questions. I'm curious, as a sort of a nonprofit leader, what's the most rewarding part of what you do? And then what's the most challenging part? And what should the horse industry do to help you with the challenges and to help invigorate, to multiply the rewarding part of it? How do we make a difference in these? How do we replicate this idea in other cities where we need to have more exposure? So, Selina, I'll come back to you first, since we started with you.
Well, thank you so much. So the first question, I think for me, being new to this industry and just seeing the impact that being around horses has on the people that we serve and the communities that we serve makes this so rewarding for me, in spite of all of the challenges that come along with being a nonprofit organization in the horse industry. Having support is another thing that is rewarding, because it definitely makes a difference when you have support versus doing it on your own. And I definitely resonate with David, because before I had a horse, that was what I did as well in the city. We took the kids out to other people, such as Dr. Rachel, who I also see is on the call. And, just being able to have people and organizations like her that opens up their spaces and animals to us is so rewarding. The challenges in this industry, I think, would just simply be not being able to get those partnerships and have the access that is needed for us to be more accessible in the inner cities, especially because we don't have any green space. We don't have any land here. And idealistically, like Lezlie had mentioned, I've been talking with the mounted police unit here, the National Park Service is here. They have all of these mounted units that they are not using, they're downsizing. Just being able to get the access to take on those stables from them and operate, because most of them are in the heart of the cities where, all of the gangs and the violence, and they're very accessible. You can walk to them. So not having that support where it can really make a difference in our community is something that has been really challenging and disappointing, but we're still going to work on it and keep on fighting until we get it done. What else am I asking or answering? What can American Horse Councils do? Well, Julie,
what can the industry do? I'm all about connecting people, about messaging.
I'm all about the collaboration. Absolutely. I definitely think that the equestrian community need to come together, regardless if you are in the English and the Western, and what I like most about the connections that I am making now is that people are being supportive. We have the Pony Club that's supporting us as well, and things that we do, and other industries, and just being able to come together to work together, I believe, is what the American Horse Council can do. You were a part of connecting me with the police and the mounted unit, because I have been trying to get on their calendar for years, and it took for me to include you in an email to get the ball rolling. So things like that, to continue to assist with just access, whatever it is that we would need to be able to gain access to these facilities would be what the American Horse Council can help do, especially in my city, because I'm coming looking like I have 3 heads talking about horses and equine therapy and all of these things. This city is not ready for that. They're not used to that. So to have the backing of the horse community to be like, yeah, this is what we do, is definitely a big deal. So thank you for that too, Julie.
Yeah, I'm happy to help you. And I'm going to make the offer to everybody else too. Selina's getting ready for her big summer bash event. When is it? In end of August. And we put that in our newsletter. So if you guys are having a fundraiser, if you're holding an event, reach out to me and we'll stick you in the newsletter so people get to know that you're out there and where you are. Never know who we're going to reach when we hit out there. David, I'm going to jump to you. What's your biggest reward? What's the challenge?
Well, biggest reward is definitely partnering our young people with horses. And, now that we're wrapping up our 10th season of free summer horse camps, what has felt, what's risen to the top this year is to watch students that we taught, as beginning students getting their first taste of horses that have stuck with it, especially year after year in our after school program. We're now able to hire them onto our summer staff, and they're the ones teaching the brand new students. And so for me, as a former Detroit elementary school teacher, like those are the kind of full circle moments that you live for. And just a taste of what's to come, especially once horses are more accessible in Detroit's future. And on the challenges, access is a big challenge for us. There's the geographic and transportation barriers that we work really hard to overcome. Detroit Horsepower provides all the transportation, literally door to door. We pick students up at their home, get them all in a 15-passenger van and drive sometimes an hour and 15 minutes one way to get to the barn, have a day of programming, and drive everybody home at the end of the day. It's a lot. And it takes really phenomenal partner barns, especially in the startup phase. We're still, 10 years in, using this model of allowing people, people allowing us to use their space and their horses. I'd really encourage folks in the horse industry to think about, is there space in your barn? Maybe it's for a week, maybe it's for a day. We do weekend barn trips as part of our after school program. Could you accommodate an existing group that's bringing young people who ordinarily wouldn't have access to horses, and that they could have a space in your barn community? It's not something we take lightly. It's a relationship we build over time. But I think that is vital to increasing access and seeding these opportunities for young people in our community. And the other ask I'd make, especially, having mentioned that the Michigan Horse Council has been a consistent supporter of Detroit Horsepower, I'd say look for, any grant-making opportunities that, are you in a position to provide financial support to cover some of these costs, like transportation or meals or the staff time that's required to make these opportunities impactful. I think there's a role for all of us to play, to lean in if we're really committed to equity and opportunity, whether it's in kind or financial support. There's a role for everybody to play.
Oh, thanks, David. Good ideas. William, your turn. Unmute yourself. There he is. What's rewarding and what's challenging, William?
Well, let's go with the rewarding component. It's very rewarding to see the youth become involved and fascinated with the horses as we ride and then engender their interest, and then they make their way to the stables. It's very rewarding to see their enthusiasm. And of course, we would like to increase that by participating with some of the area educational institutions, etc. The challenges are essentially we are self-funded, and the resource components for the infrastructure, maintaining the building, as I said, it's the oldest structure probably to maintain for horses in the region, and it needs a great deal of work. Along with the components that go with maintaining the horses, tractors, horse trailers. We do borrow from time to time, horse trailers and the various other components. We have pickup trucks, but we actually, as you know, we need larger vehicles. And we challenge to maintain and to connect with the cities. We don't necessarily have a relationship with the police force community, but I think if we can develop connections through like David did through the horse council, maybe they will look at us a little bit more professionally and work with us. So therein lies our challenges.
Excellent. Good to know. Lezlie, I think you're going to wrap us up on this question.
Yeah, so the rewards are just like they're way too many to mention. I mean, it's just seeing kids develop relationships with horses. It's seeing them adjust their behaviors. It's seeing them, develop grit and tenacity, and to, come into the program when they're 7, 8, 9 years old. I mean, the horses are really with our program, the vehicle, right? To bring up successful, well-rounded children. And one of our main components is, education, obviously. We want within Philadelphia, we want these kids to graduate high school. That's our main goal, is for them getting their education and to get into them through high school. That to me, that's almost my biggest reward. And the fact that, I'm hoping, that they develop the passion about horses that I've had since I was a toddler. That always helps make the programming successful if they can find that passion and they can stick with it. And then obviously, because we do work with kids from, very impoverished neighborhoods, is also to see them light up and get excited when they go someplace that they've never been before, and they see, nice neighborhoods and they see big houses and they get the opportunity to visit those neighborhoods and meet those people, and basically, learn to be comfortable, and learn how to code switch, within those populations. I think that's, terribly important. And the way our program operates is I primarily try to pair kids up with horses. So everyone who's a horse owner knows that, you need a horse, to become your partner. So what we try to do is we do try to partner all of our kids with an individual horse so that whatever discipline they decide to pursue, that we have a horse for that, and we dedicate to providing that venue for them, whatever it is. And to see them be successful. That's, one of our biggest things that we like. And yeah, and then when we get to travel, when the kids travel, they just it makes such a huge impact on them. They just love it. And one of the challenges is a lot of times with the population of kids I work with is keeping them in school and getting them, through our program. We, right now, I didn't mention earlier, but David knows we're on a $13 million capital raise. And we started breaking ground for an indoor state-of-the-art riding facility. And we're 90% there, and
Wow.
we've already started. So it's going to be, it's going to be a very nice state-of-the-art facility. Yeah, hopefully we'll become the envy of the tri-state area.
That's awesome, Lezlie. I'm so excited for you. That's great.
Yeah, no, we're super excited.
Well, I'm going to switch gears a minute. So Mikhail and Amberin are with us. And I wondered if you guys might speak a little bit about how United States Equestrian Federation and the Outdoor Recreation Roundtable, what are some things that you guys are doing to help programs of this nature and sort of bring attention to them and support them? Mikhail, start us off.
Happy to. So with USCF, we launched the community outreach program back in 2021. This was part of our comprehensive DEI action plan. And really the goal at USCF has always been to bring as many people to horses as possible. Within starting this program, we now have 28 organizations. I think we're representing about 17 states, including Puerto Rico. Detroit Horsepower is one of those organizations. And it's just been truly rewarding just seeing firsthand what each of these programs do for the community. And so some of the takeaways that now we've been in this program, for a few years, looking at what our next steps are going to be, is we've noticed and acknowledged, some of the challenges that are basically put in front of not only the organizations, but also the participants. So from the participants side, the biggest challenge is accessibility. So it is just huge having programs, especially that focus with the urban areas, to be a part of this program, to continue providing access to individuals that want or have a passion with horses. And then on the flip side of it, we're looking at it from an organizational standpoint is, now I think more people are starting to see the benefits that horses have just on basic health, basic mental health, life skills, this, that, and the other. And a challenge that's really just kind of been brought to our attention more so this year, more so than all the others, is we've now started to see these increased wait lists from these organizations. You've got so many people now that are wanting to get involved with the horses, but then these organizations are running into some barriers of they don't have enough staff to do this. Their facility is not big enough, to accommodate all of the interest that's coming in. Using one example of one of our organizations in Kansas City, Heartland Therapeutic, they were very proactive with this approach. They started with, a wait list of about 5 to 10 people, and they took action immediately. So they decided to, utilizing us, they applied for one of our grants for some updates to their facility, which they were able to add heating and air to 2 indoor arenas, which then allowed them to do programming year round. And so what that did was their wait list now is pushing 100. But what they've seen is that wait list would have been so much longer if they did not take those proactive steps. Now being able to, utilize their programming year round, they see that's not enough. I think now we're going to have to add more people. We may have to have, multiple sessions going on at the same time. Can we accommodate those things? And so it's really good just being in circles such as this. We recognize that a lot of us, we have a lot of the same goals in mind, but too often we find ourselves working in our own individual silos, and it's just coming together and going for this common goal and mission. And that's really where USCF comes in. Like, we want to support organizations like this to the best of our ability. And sometimes that is just from an exposure standpoint. It could be from a grant making standpoint. I think David can attest to this, just having an affiliation with USCF has given just that kind of stamp of approval for when you're going to these other organizations or different partnerships. You're looked at, with a little bit more legitimacy than maybe you trying to go by yourself. And we're more than happy to, go alongside these organizations, help in any way that we can, utilizing our platforms to tell basically their stories. That's been probably my most rewarding thing, is going to these organizations, talking with the participants, talking with the directors, getting those interviews, seeing what these horses are doing, and taking away a little bit from just that perception that USCF is just about Olympics. Yes, that just happened this year, but there is so much more to what we do. And our biggest thing it always comes back to is the love for the horse. So anybody that's on that train will be right on there with you.
Thanks. Amber, talk about outdoor recreation roundtable and what you guys are doing.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you again for having me. And a lot of what I'm going to share is very much mimicking what Mikhail said, but sort of zooming out a little bit, right? So for for my role in all of this and my interest, and I'm really excited to connect with y'all. Some of you I've already met, and I'm just such a huge fan. So my role as Senior Program Director at ORR being Outdoor Recreation Roundtable, to understand my role is to understand the importance of this organization, which has existed already for a few years. ORR is a coalition of the nation's outdoor recreation association. So between our members, we cover over 110,000 businesses across every sector in this industry. And my role is to really look at the lens of equity through everything that we do, because it's what I do is a part of what ORR does, right? We want to increase participation, access, equity in the outdoors across the board, across every type of activity. This is incumbent on us for the future of the outdoors, but also for our members that are businesses. So it's really important to approach this work that we're doing in building up Together Outdoors, which is our equity program, as a membership benefit, to make it clear that increasing diversity and access is important for the bottom line, and then helping businesses get educated, find engagement opportunities, and help invest back in the community so we can help bring more people outdoors, right? There's just so much that y'all have been talking about that I'm like taking notes frantically to share. But Together Outdoors as an organization, that's our approach to addressing what is a common problem. The truth is the demographics of our country, right? And I want to talk about demographics because this is so important in seeking grants, in building partnerships, is like, what is the big picture here? And if we can zoom out from horses and connect this industry to all the other industries that are struggling with the same connecting issue, which is the demographics of this country are changing according to Census Bureau. I'm sure you all know this. So forgive me if I'm repeating, but 2050, 2040, we're officially a majority minority country, which means there are more people of color in this country than white people. But when we look at outdoor recreation, even the land management and park management agencies, from recreationists to business to entrepreneurs, front of the house, back of the house, across the board, it is predominantly white. What that means is this industry is shrinking. And if we don't match the demographics of our country, this industry is going to die out. But it's also important that we need people power to fight for the natural resources that we rely on for outdoor recreation. So there's this urgency in building alliances between hunting and fishing and equestrian and paddling and motorized vehicles. There's such an urgency for us to build this identity as an industry so that we can show up and fight for each other. And the one issue that connects all of us is the importance for increasing diversity in the outdoors. And in some of the things that you guys are saying, I wanted to share a little bit of my perspective in running these programs. We launched a program, it's a micro grant program, which is really looking at organizations that are grassroots on the ground, doing the direct work of bringing people outdoors from their community. And these are folks that deeply benefit from $5,000 to $10,000 micro grants that we launched, right? And so when we launched this program, we were inundated with applications from programs all across the country, several of them including horses, as equine therapy, education, and holistic approaches. And one thing that I learned that I would love to share with you guys in terms of my perspective when I'm looking at these grant applications, what was really helpful was to see that connection to the big picture, right? What is the big picture here? Why are we doing what we're doing? What are the needs of the communities that we're addressing? And the wealth of knowledge that y'all have about your communities is so helpful in evaluating those applications. The other thing that really helps is mentioning those, I forget who just said it, but the validation of partnerships. I apologize. Is the barking too loud?
No, it's not too loud. We can hear, but it's okay.
That should be better, hopefully. But the connections, the relationships that we're making between associations, but also local businesses, if we can help empower those relationships between you guys and sponsorships within local communities, that is a big win for us. And I'm seeing that across other sectors with groups such as yourself, but in other areas. those relationships, leveraging public-private partnerships, leveraging the local businesses that can sponsor some of your needs rather than always having to apply for big grants, right? So we're also trying to help build those relationships over time locally through Share the Air events, which is another program, is asking businesses associations to host these events that are bringing newcomers out to experience several different activities and connecting them to the local businesses who would benefit from new customers, but helping them build authentic relationships. So this isn't something we're just going to do in February for Black History Month. This is what we do as a part of our actual business strategic plan, because if we don't, we will shut down in a decade, right? Like making that very urgent call to action and connecting it with what you are doing. And y'all are the people that are doing the most important work, which is getting people into the outdoors. And with the grant program that we run, we're hitting a sector, which I think y'all would be interested in learning too, if it's not yourself. The margins are at maybe $10 to $0, $10,000 to $0. But these folks, the people who are applying for these programs, are doing the most impactful work and are the least invested in, right? Because we all know that grant funding is very inequitable. It goes to those large historic organizations that are built to manage those grants. So we're pushing to sort of break down some of these barriers, think creatively, and these relationships, understanding your struggles. And if I was in the next meeting, I could be sitting with the Motorcycle Association, and it'll be the same stories. For us to connect together that way is very, very important. And I'm really excited to hear these stories and continuing to build these relationships with y'all.
Oh, thanks. Somebody may recall, maybe it was Selina, at one of my conferences, we had a panel discussion and we picked the Professional Golf Association, the PGA, because they have a program called First Tee. It's about getting kids out learning to play golf. And we picked Take Me Fishing because they have a program to get kids out learning to fish. And we had Selina come and talk about what she was doing. And what we tend to find is exactly what Amber's saying, which is, doesn't matter what particular outdoor recreation focus you have, what sector you're in, we all are trying to figure out the formula to make this work. And the idea is we can work together and help each other out. I told her this past week that from my point of view at the American Horse Council, I've got an ad about getting involved with horses, and I want to get the RVing people to show that ad in their magazine. Right. And I want to show RVing in my magazine, because horse people do use a lot of RVs. Hey, we've got cross-pollination of ideas here, folks. So let's figure out how we work together.
And and Julie is so brilliant at this, at being cerebral, at seeing the big picture. And that's what associations are for, right? You get to zoom out and see your whole sector. And then what ORR is good at is zooming even further out and seeing all the associations. One thing that I've been seeing, because we too are a nonprofit, so I'm in the struggle bus with you with looking for funding. But one thing that I have learned that's very, very interesting is making those interconnections and across the board, like in a lot of states, right? In a lot of states and a lot of big foundations, people are looking at mental health, people are looking at workforce. And if like the grants that I gave out they could be brilliant, but if they had a holistic approach, I think maybe Selina, you were talking about this, or maybe it was Lezlie, but talking about like graduation rates for the youth that you work with, that's very important to connect it to. Not like, we all know that this is it, but we have to be able to pull that out into applications and say, our program is actually helping create great community members who are going to go out and start businesses, who are going to contribute to our local economy, et cetera, et cetera. And then also mental health is a huge component for state programs, state, federal, those grant dollars are there. And to be able to tell those stories in the therapeutic benefits of it, again, very, very critical to do that cross-pollination and then benefit from other silos that naturally exist that may exclude you because they're not thinking about equine therapy or other relevant programs.
So I'm just going to put this one little bug in you guys' ear. If you're out there, you're thinking of building a program like any of these that you hear, or you're trying to keep building the program you've already got, reach out to your state outdoor recreation office. There's a great contact for you there. Also consider leveraging groups like Backcountry Horsemen of America. Obviously, you guys have talked about Pony Club. There's lots and lots of different avenues for you to pursue that are out there. Virginia has an agribusiness coalition. same kind of conversation that we're having here about livestock and ag industries and how we can help each other. So you've got a number of different contacts, and if you need ideas, reach out to me and I'm happy to connect you. And David's already sung the praises. We have 26 state horse councils. Some of them are really robust, like he's lucky in Michigan. They've got a really good staff and they do lots of cool things. Maryland's got a great one. I saw William at the Maryland Horse Summit. So there's definitely a few of those around that can also be great resources and make introductions and really help you a little bit there. I know that we're getting close to the top of the hour. So I wanted to ask our panelist or Amber or Mikhail, if there's somebody out there who wants to start a program like this in an inner city, what advice would you give them? What would you tell them they need to, what kind of due diligence do they need to do? What kind of research to get themselves in a good place to get this started and not be frustrated after they've struggled for a year or two? David, go first.
Sure. I'd say the first place to start is to research your community and understand, are there already folks who might be thinking the same thing as you are? Maybe they've started something already and you could join up with them. Maybe there's a co-founder out there for you. This work can be really isolating and is powerful when you can join forces with others. And I'd kind of keep that theme going and say, better not to recreate the wheel in terms of like reach out to folks you could learn from. I'm always happy to share Detroit Horsepower's experiences with others if I can be helpful. There are so many people that poured into me and helped us get to where we are. And in terms of a model, what's worked for us is to bring students to partner barns that allow us to use their space and their horses. So building those partnerships, relationships go a long way. Those are some of the key themes that I'd start you off with.
Okay. Lezlie, you've got the longevity goal here, so.
Yeah, and like David mentioned, when he was first starting his program, he was doing his due diligence and actually just talking to as many people as possible, about when you have an idea for a program, you really need to suss it out. What's your population? You do your business plan, and you figure out a way to do what you want to do. In my I get a lot of people contacting me on a fairly regular basis because it has been 30 years that want to do what we want to do or what we do, right? And a lot of times the barriers that people run into is they don't have a facility, right, to do the work, which is where David gets creative. And there are other people that have gotten creative too, where you outsource if you don't have a facility. And I've seen organizations that have started off that way, and then after several years and it quote unquote becomes legitimate, right? That's when you do your fundraising, as David has done, to get the community together and come behind and then build your facility. And I think that's where you get the biggest bang for your buck, because then you can get more kids in your programming. You can increase the constituency, which helps you get grants, because that's what they want to see. They want to see numbers, and that's always, at least for us, that's always been a very big thing, which is why we don't really have a lot of corporate sponsorships, because I focus on sometimes a very small group of kids. That's not what corporations want to see. They want to see numbers. So you have to find a way to incorporate the numbers as well as making a long-term investment, in the kids. But I want to just give William a couple of encouraging thoughts that, I started off the same way he did. I had a couple horses and I brought in some of my friends, to do programming, and it's taken us a while, but we got here. So yeah.
There's a great message. There's the hang in there. Persevere. Selina, did you have anything, or William, that you wanted to share about?
Well, I wanted to particularly share, in our situation, it's mostly politics. It it all boils down to who you know and what their connection is. Mostly we have been tolerated because we have persisted and insisted that we will stand. So the horses they've been tried to ban them. They tried to eliminate the stables. In fact, they have eliminated most of the stables. There were at one point hundreds of stables, and now we only have 2 left. But those 2 can be an incubator for the kids, but we need the politicians to get on board. And so that's all about connections and contacts. And that's where we are probably landing right now. But we do have our individual children interest, but we just got to harness it. We got to find a way to capture that interest and bring it to us, because I mean, I can't even get down the street without the kids running in the streets with, you know, who haven't seen horses or have never touched a horse, trying to, you know, become a part of, or at least to touch the horse and be a part of that experience.
I'm gonna let Selina go, but I had an interesting opportunity a couple years ago before the pandemic. The American Horse Council partnered with the U.S. Department of Agriculture for their Friday farmers market downtown on the National Mall. And we contacted the DC Mounted Police and we contacted the caisson platoon, and they all came and brought horses. And what William is telling you, this is no surprise to any of you, is that there were kids that were visiting DC, going into all these big sightseeing things, and they looked across that National Mall and they saw some horses over there, and it looked like somebody had like opened the floodgates. They all just wanted to come and stand and pet the horse. They wanted to know the horse's name. They wanted to know what his background was. It was, I told the officers, you don't have to tell them anything about the work you do. Just talk about the horse. They're excited about it. So
Exactly.
it's a lot of fun. Selina, add anything to this?
One thing that I could possibly add to this is this lifestyle.
Uh-oh, we lost her again.
Yeah.
There
Can
you
you
are.
hear me?
There you are. Yep.
You can hear me now?
Yep. So tell us about lifestyle.
Okay. Yes, it fell in my lap. This was not anything that I said that I wanted to be a part of or that I wanted to do or be when I grew up. Being a part of the Cowgirls of Color, I was already a founder and executive director of the Stand Foundation. But when that opportunity presented itself to me, it just made sense to me to include this into my organization, because at that time I was well over the age that I thought to be wanting to seek success as a competitor. So I just decided to, you know, bring it to my community. I will say that it is definitely something that you have to be passionate about, because you will not hold on to that roller coaster.
Great feedback.
Question for Selina: are you in DC? Your organization is in DC?
In DC, my horses are in Maryland. They're about 45 minutes to an hour away.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm just, as we start to wrap up, I'm definitely going to put all the contact information for all the panelists into an email. So those of you that have questions, you want to follow up with them, or you want to network with each other, so you've got some names and some contacts. I want to take just a minute to say, do we have any of our guests that have a quick question that you want to ask the panelists before we wrap up? Anybody out there? I put it on there. Okay, well, I'm excited about this conversation. Let's keep the enthusiasm going. I encourage our panelists to network with each other. You've already heard USEF and you heard Outdoor Recreation talk about some of the grant programs and the outreach stuff that they have as maybe an avenue for some of you to get some additional help. And by all means, reach out to me if there's some things that the American Horse Council can help you do as far as making people aware of what you're going on, what's that. And follow us on Facebook. You know, Selina's going to put on this summer bash. If she makes some video, share that content with Mikhail and with us, and we'll get it out there on our social media pages, and so people get a chance to see you and hear you and understand what your needs are and all those kinds of things. So thanks everybody. We really appreciate your time today, and I'll send you the recording when I get it all wrapped up. Yes.
Julie, I just want to say, I'm encouraged by your enthusiasm. And if I did not have any motivation until now, I got more motivation. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good afternoon, everyone.